Next. Okay, remote neural monitoring. Remote neural monitoring is a defense system using satellite relayed electro-optics, think laser imaging and tracking systems, to measure, image, and transmit brain and nerve activity of an individual. Remotely machine learning algorithms correlate the communication and behavior data with brain activity data sampled from individuals who are targeted. Uh, it's kind of thing like V2K, Voice to Skull, the Army used, DARPA, Sonic Projector, Medusa product, the Marine Corps, Hypersound, Holozoic Research Lab, the Voice of God, S-Quad, the Silence Sound Spread Spectrum, mm, electronic harassment, falsely diagnosed as schizophrenia or paranoia delusion, delusional disorder. Obviously, they use all these things to make you pass as crazy. I think the main one for remote neural monitoring will be the S-Quad. So make some research on S-Quad, and you'll be amazed how this technology is real and used. So we have a quick video here for you guys. Let's look at that.
When I think about an instance that really just struck me as, oh my God, we can do this. And that we can do it to anyone. And that we can do it to anyone was that people at NSA, analysts, can actually watch people's internet communications, watch them draft correspondence, and actually watch their thoughts form as they type. Watch their thoughts form as they type. As you write a message, an analyst at the NSA or any other service out there that's using this kind of attack against people, any other service out there that's using this kind of attack against people can actually see you write sentences and then backspace over your mistakes and then change the words and then kind of pause and think about what you wanted to say, pause and think about what you wanted to say, and then change it, and then change it. And it's this extraordinary intrusion, not just into your communications, your finished messages, but your actual drafting process, into the way you think, into the way you think, into the way you think.
They're in your head. We're talking about weapons of mass control. Joining us today to tell us about weapons of mass control is Dr. John Hall. He's an MD, an anesthesiologist from San Antonio. Because this has been an open secret for some time. It's something that's not talked about very much, although we do have articles here from the Washington Post. We've got articles from Wired Magazine. They've been talking about this here and then in articles since the early 2000s. So you can find some articles going back earlier than that even. And we've got pretty much every branch of the military has got their own little projects, as well as commercial applications.
Oh yeah, mind control technology is one of the most common crimes, at least vocalized or complained about on the internet today. It seems to be getting the least amount of coverage in the major media.
Wow. Well, let me go down the list of some of these that I came up with. We've got DARPA has the Sonic Projector that was reported on in 2007. Of course, it had been around for quite some time before then. Army has something they call Voice to Skull. We've got the Air Force using microwaves to create sounds at Brooks Air Force Base. We've got the Marine Corps with their Medusa project. We've got the State Department, as reported by the Washington Post in 2005, working on voices implanted in people's heads. We've got a couple of companies, one that has patented something called Hypersound. That's American Technologies. Has also got Holosonic Research Labs, also has a patented version. So the military-industrial complex has been all over this. When you see something this wide, this is not just one little research project from one organization. And this is something that 5, 10 years ago, it was being reported on in even mainstream press like the Washington Post, and yet nobody knows about this.
Well, the people who follow the internet pretty closely, and certainly the victims of this technology, know about it, but you're right. There's been a lot of research done into how to put voices into one's head. It was found long ago that if you can put a voice into someone's head, you can do several things. If I put a voice that's foreign to your normal thought pattern in your head, that becomes harassment. And the harassment over time will make you display signs of schizophrenia. When you go and tell people that you're hearing voices, we've been patterned to turnkey see that as schizophrenia and not even look to see if there's a legitimate source for it. If I put a voice in your head that's in your voice, and if you pattern a thought, like I tell some of these victims, when you read a book, you're actually hearing your own voice in your head as you read. If I put that voice in your head, then that becomes a thought, and you'll act on those thoughts, and that's how they think that some of this is being used for subliminal control.
Wow.
And that was used in the field of battle. The Voice of God weapon, which is actually called SQUAD, or Silent Sound Spread Spectrum, was used in the first Operation Desert Storm. That was one of those scenarios where 1,500 Iraqi soldiers disassembled their weapons, got to their knees, and surrendered to 150 Marines who didn't have enough slip ties to tie them all together because, and this was admitted, that they used SQUAD to put the voice of Allah in their heads to tell them to surrender.
Wow. Well, it's always like any technology. It can be used for good or it can be used for evil. I don't know if there's any good use for putting voices in people's heads, but certainly what this reveals is the dark side of people that are involved in this connection. Now, talk to us about how you distinguish between something that is artificially being beamed in, voices being beamed into you with this technology, versus somebody who really is schizophrenic.
I'm glad you asked that, because I especially being a medical doctor, I don't want to come across as everybody hearing voices is being victimized by technology. Certainly schizophrenia exists. For one, schizophrenia is not quite as common, I think, as the press has led people to believe. It's still, severe schizophrenia is still a relatively rare disorder. Most of the victims that I've worked with can pinpoint the day that they started hearing voices and the day that they noticed organized stalking, people following them around from their home to work. Most of the victims that we've had questionnaires filled on and talked to are in their late 30s to early 40s. Typically, schizophrenics are identified from 18 years old to 28 years old, maybe a little later in females, but almost always at a young age. Typically, those people are described as never having been quite normal. You don't see it in high-functioning, educated individuals who all of a sudden turned 40 years old and acutely became schizophrenic overnight. Also, if you talk to schizophrenics about what they're hearing, typically it's God or angels or deities or garbled voices like you hear in a subway. The people that are being victimized by this technology are hearing the voices of people that are obviously watching them. Oftentimes they'll know the names of these voices because it's a two-way communication system. So they're hearing the people doing the surveillance talk to each other as well as talk to them. Typically it's their whereabouts in a room is being described, what they're dressed like is being described.
So it's kind of a form of harassment then.
Well, and that's exactly what the loose term for it is, electronic harassment.
So they're not necessarily trying to pretend that they're God. They're just really trying to harass this person and push them over the edge.
Exactly.
Into doing something. Well, that's interesting. So to sum it up, somebody who has real schizophrenia, it's going to be something that is very early in their life, a consistent pattern behavior from very early in their life, whereas somebody that is that is having this done to them, they're going to have a sudden onset of that.
Exactly.
So they've been perfectly normal, then somehow and later in life, all of a sudden, like you said, a switch has been flipped.
Exactly. And we've done surveys on thousands of these victims, and most of them are educated. A lot of them are doctors and lawyers. Educated people that were high functioning, that were successful in their careers, and one day started hearing voices, started being stalked, and watched their lives spiral downhill after that. And the other
kind of Democrat. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. The other thing with schizophrenia is schizophrenia does respond to treatment. You can put schizophrenics on medication and they'll improve. People that are being victimized by this technology, you can put them on any array of the medications used for schizophrenia or delusional disorder, and they still hear the voices, they still get stalked, and they still get attacked.
Wow, wow. Another.
When I think about an instance that really just struck me as, oh my God, we can do this, and that we can do it to anyone, was that people at NSA, analysts, can actually watch people's internet communications, watch them draft correspondence, and actually Watch their thoughts form as they type. Watch their thoughts form as they type. As you write a message, you know, an analyst at the NSA or any other service out there that's using this kind of attack against people, any other service out there that's using this kind of attack against people can actually see you write sentences and then backspace over your mistakes and then change the words and then kind of pause and think about what you wanted to say, pause and think about what you wanted to say, and then change it, and then change it, change it. And it's this extraordinary intrusion, not just into your communications, your finished messages, but your actual drafting process, into the way you think, into the way you think, into the way you think.
I hope you at least believe Edward Snowden. Like, he was a NSA, like one of the top analysts there. Whatever. It is true. I experienced it too myself. So what's next? Overt surveillance. That's stalking. Mobbing. I like this video because it's actually Garrett Chill Joe who show us here their tactics, how they move, you know, how they behave around you. It's pretty nice. Look at that.
There's a road. Okay, there's your road. Your automobile. Your car. Okay. Now how it works is right here. Let's say you're heading due north, right? Okay, everything that they do is based on the compass and square masonry. What that's about is it's kind of a worship of geometry, worship of mathematics. Everything they're going to do is going to be based on right angles or 45-degree angles. So they're going to come at you parallel or perpendicular, or they're going to come at you crisscross. With their automobiles, in a video game, if it's a massive multiplayer online game, such as Destiny or World of Warcraft or whatever they got out there, or if it's an automobile in the interstate or on any road anywhere in the nation, or if it's going to be even in a store, a grocery store, or a mall, they're going to come like this at you. They're going to come at you. You're going to walk at the end of an aisle, and someone's going to pass right by you. You're walking up an aisle, someone's going to come pass right beside you. You're walking up an aisle, someone's going to cross you like that. You're going to have to, it's going to impede your progress. You're going to have to stop, or you're going to run into them. And or come this way like that, okay? And there'll always be somebody behind you too, okay? And they'll try to like flash mob you, and then you got people all over you. And then you go to a particular aisle in the grocery store, and you'll notice that the one thing that you want, there's a group of 5 or 6 people right there in that one spot. And you just plow right through them and get what you want, and be polite. Plow right through them and be polite, say excuse me, and then please, and there you go. And authoritatively grab your stuff with a smile on your face and with confidence, and it terrifies them. I did this for quite a few years, and it scared the shit out of everybody, and people left me alone. Maybe also my purchases of assault rifles kind of helped that as well. Okay, now I'm going to explain the automobile. Okay, here you go. There's your automobile. Okay, let's say that you're driving somewhere. It can be a road, interstate, or highway, whatever. Let's say whatever road that you've noticed this happen to you. Okay, where you know, obviously, that you're being fucked with in some way, okay? Maybe someone was cyberbullying you, or maybe you're a high school student, you're having to endure bullying, and you got your first automobile, and you notice that you got the guy bullying you in school is also the same guy following you around town, right? And he's got friends. Okay, whatever the scenario, this is how they do it, okay? This is U.S. government stuff right here. They don't want me telling you this shit, but I don't give a fuck what they want. I'm going to tell you how the U.S. government does it. Okay, now the U.S. government does it. It's four entities. It's the Jesuits, the Zionists, the Freemasons, and the U.S. government, and they all work together. And then the ones at the top are the Jesuits. Below the Jesuits are the Zionists. Below the Zionists are the Freemasons, which is / U.S. government. And then below that is your city council, your mayors, and your local law enforcement. Okay, so here we go. You're driving here. Okay, here in A, they got perpetrators going in these crisscross patterns, or these perpendicular right angle patterns, or 45-degree arm patterns, and they constantly doing blocks, constantly doing the block, and you got guys here like that. They try to box you in, and then they got someone in front of you that's going real slow, but if you try to pass, you're going to run into this guy here that's on your blind spot. That's a they use that tactic often. Okay, that's one of the common tactics. Okay, so what's this A about? Okay, well, there's a particular amount of perps here. Let's say they got 12 automobiles. Okay, and per automobile they got 2 to 4 people in it. Okay, they usually roll in twos and pairs. Okay, now those 12 automobiles, they're gonna pass the baton once you hit this area here, where you're going from point A to point B, or circle A to circle B. You're entering a different zone, okay? And as your car goes here into this other zone, zone B, these guys are going to do what we call passing the baton. They're going to exit. They're going to exit this way, take the exit. If it's an interstate, they're going to, if there's a way to go left, they're going to go left. And in some cases, they may just bust a complete U-turn and just go the other direction. They kill it. And then they're passing the baton on to these guys. And it's another group of about 12 automobiles with 2 to 4 people per automobile. Okay? And it just strings on. Boom, 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 boom. That's why we call it a hive, like a beehive. And they're just a single cell of a larger organism. And that's the way that it goes, like that. And they're all intertwined. And so you're constantly in a quadrant, you're constantly in something, and you're constantly being watched, right? That's how they do that. So that you understand this is one of the methods, okay? And also keep in mind, so that you can know, by knowing this, you'll be able to manipulate it, okay? This is their game plan. Their game plan is to want to fuck with your head, okay? The crisscrossing patterns. And I know the naysayers are going to say, well, aren't you being a little bit paranoid? People walk in the grocery store, people will cut you off all the time. Yeah, it's fucking rude, okay? It's rude. It's rude to cut someone off. It is. I don't cut anyone off. Why is someone cutting me off? I mean, that shit doesn't happen to me, but I've seen it happen to other people. I watch this shit. I'm what you call a people watcher. I watch people. I observe people. I've done it all my life. I'm a very critical thinker. And I can tell when someone's being fucked with. It's real easy for me to discern these things. I can tell. Anybody can tell. You're paying attention to what you're watching. It's easy. So I see a person, because I see a guy like this. You know, I saw a dude in the grocery stores at a fucking Walmart. He was walking, and like he couldn't walk no more than a few steps, and someone would come in front of him. There's a Mexican guy, and so here comes a white woman. He almost hit her, and they almost always have a kid with them, you know. So they get the sentimental vote, right? Because they got a child with them. But if you got a child with them, they don't give a fuck about that. Okay, the shit's rigged against you, man. But this is the method that they use right here. Is they use right angles. Right angles, and that there's someone always behind you and someone always in front of you. And the moment that you come to the end of something, there's going to be someone that's going to zoom right across you. If you're in a car, someone's going to zoom right across you, right in front of you. If you're going to fucking, or someone's going to turn right like that. You know, turn, or from here, turn. Again, right angles, 90-degree angles. Turn, and then there'll be a convoy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fucking automobiles in a row just turning. That is flash mobbing. That's what that's called, flash mobbing. That's gang stalking. That's COINTELPRO. Okay, the crisscross patterns are the ones that are more designed to get you into a wreck. The crisscross patterns are the ones that are hoping that they catch you on the blind side, because the right angle patterns you can see a lot easier, but the ones that coming across, like you driving, and then they come across like that in the parking lot, they're not paying attention to the lines that they're supposed to follow by law. They just cross across the parking lot. That leads to a lot of wrecks. There's a lot of wrecks that happen because of that. And then they never get blamed for it. You do. Right? And so that's the crisscross patterns. They do that also in grocery stores or in strip malls or in restaurants or whatever. And it's just a way to annoy you so that they can try to steal your happiness. In the Bible, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, says that the evil ones come to steal, kill, and destroy. Right? And then he also said that the father of the Jews is the devil. Okay, so they're not God's chosen people. I don't know where people got that from, but that's a goddamn lie. God's chosen people are Jesus Christ's anointed. The Jews are children of Satan. Now, that's the way it is, because they were given all the promises by God, but those promises became null and void when Jesus showed up and they denied Jesus. So by denying Jesus, they denied the Father. They denied their own God. And in fact, they killed their own king. So this is the basics here. I'll go through a lot more advanced techniques of how they do what they do. But to start off knowing they're using crisscross patterns, and they're using, and notice it's always like a cross or form of a cross. And the X is a form of a cross, right? And this right here, perpendiculars and parallels, form of a cross. Okay? And this right here, where they divide things into sections, and after so much time, you're going to pass from section A into section B, and they're going to pass the baton. Those automobiles aren't chasing you anymore, or not really chasing you. They're just behind you, you know. But a lot of times they tend to tailgate. And when I see people being tailgated, and then I see a convoy of people behind that person being tailgated, it's obvious that guy is being fucked with. And then I have my people who follow them around. I used to do it myself, and now I have others do it for me, and then I watch the videos. They're posted on YouTube. And then we examine these things. And so we got the inside word also, because a lot of the gang stalkers actually were double agents. They work for us. They work for me. And so they tell me how they do their shit. They tell me where the meetings are at. They go to the city council meetings. They get the audio. They record it, audio tape it, and then I hear the fucking audio tapes of this crazy shit that they do. And it is done through city council more often than not. The sheriff's deputies, as well as sometimes highway patrol, and almost always the local police officers. There you go. There's that. There's just the little basics there. Just wanted to give you a little. There's not even a 101 course. There's like a 099. This is kind of just a little prerequisite here so that you can understand just a little basics of their system, of how it goes, and I'm going to break it down way, way, way good as the days pass, video after video after video, to where you're going to know how to gang stalk better than the gang stalkers. Okay, man, take care. Go chill the Joe out.
Yeah, great video. Actually, I love this. I suggest you to watch it again if you didn't know their tactics. This is actually great if you want to catch them, or if you want to see, how can I say that? Shoot evidence. Because you know the pattern already. So if you come at a corner, know a car is going to pull up. And if you're sensitized by a red car, let's say, then you can just film and say, look, I'm going to come at this corner. I bet $1,000 that the car is going to come out of nowhere. It's going to be red. You see, who knows that? The target individual. So, what's next?